Hello, Magic Makers. Welcome to Storytime with Mombierella. This is a young adult fiction and may be inappropriate for some younger viewers. If you haven't had a chance yet, please take a second, like, and subscribe. Make sure that you keep up with all the new chapters. And if you have any suggestions, please comment down below. The Isle of the Lost, a Descendants novel by Melissa de la Cruz. Chapter 4. A Smart Little Boy. Carlos DeVille looked up from the contraption he was assembling and shot the new girl a shy smile.
It'll be okay. Mal just likes to be left alone,
He said.
She's not as tough as she seems. She only talks a big game.
She does? What about you? Asked the blue-haired princess.
I don't have a game, unless you consider being beat up and pushed around a game, which, in a way, I guess it is, but really it's not that entertaining, unless you happen to be the one doing the beating and pushing.
Carlos turned his attention back to the mess of wires in front of him. He was smaller and younger than the rest of the class, but smarter than most of them. He was an AP student, advanced penchant, for evil. It was only right, since the infamous Cruella was his mother. His mother was so notorious. She had her own song. He hummed it under his breath sometimes. What? It was catchy. Sometimes he would do it just to send her into hysterics. Then again, that wasn't so difficult. Cruella's witch doctor believed she was sustained by pure metabolic fury. Privately, Carlos thought of it as her rage diet. No carbs, just barbs. No hunger, just anger. No ice cream, just high screams. His thoughts were interrupted by his friendly new seatmate. I'm Evie. What's your name? She asked.
Hi, Evie. I'm Carlos DeVille,
He said.
We met once before at your birthday party.
He'd recognized her the minute she walked in. She looked exactly the same, just taller. Oh, sorry. I don't remember much about the party except how it ended. Carlos nodded.
Yeah, anyway, I'm also your neighbor. I just live down the street in Hell Hall.
You do? Evie's eyes went wide. But I thought no one lived there. But that crazy old lady and her...
Don't say it.
He blurted. Dog? She said at the same time. Carlos shuddered.
We don't have dogs,
He said weakly, feeling his forehead begin to perspire at the very thought. His mother had told him dogs were vicious, pack animals, the most dangerous and terrifying animals on earth. But she's always calling someone her pet. I thought you were a
I told you, don't say it,
warned Carlos.
That word is a trigger for me.
Evie put up her hands. Okay. Then she winked. But how do you fit in the crate at night? Carlos only glared. Their first class was Selfishness 101, or Selfies for short, taught by Mother Gothel, who took way too many self-portraits with an old Polaroid camera. The photos were littered around the classroom, Mother Gothel making a duck face, sleepy-eyed Mother Gothel in an I woke up like this pic, Mother Gothel in a cobra pose. But Mother Gothel herself was nowhere to be found. She was always at least half an hour late, and when she finally arrived, she was irritated to find the students there before her. Have I taught you nothing about being fashionably annoyingly late to every engagement? She asked, letting out an exasperated sigh and collapsing dramatically into her chair. One hand fanned over her eyes. For the next half hour or so, they studied portraits of evil, comparing the likenesses of the most famous villains in history, many of whom lived on the island, and some of whom were their parents. Today's class just happened to feature Cruella DeVille, of course. Carlos knew the portrait by heart, whether or not he was looking at it. His mother, there she was in all her finery, with her tall hair and her long red car, her eyes wild, and her furs flying in the wind. He shuddered again and went back to tinkering with his machine. Class ended, and students began to file out of the classroom. Evie asked Carlos what his next subject was, and looked happy to discover they both had Lady Tremaine for evil schemes.
That's another advanced class. You must have a really high EQ,
he told her. Only those who boast off the charts evil quotients were allowed to take it.
It's this way,
he said, motioning up the stairs. But before they could get too far, a cold voice cut through the chatter. Why, if it isn't Carlos DeVille, it said behind him. Carlos would know that voice anywhere. It was the second most terrifying on the island. When he turned, Mal was standing right behind him next to Jay. Carlos automatically checked his pockets to make sure nothing had disappeared.
Hey, Mal,
he said, trying to appear nonchalant. Mal never spoke to anyone except to scare them or to complain that they were in her way.
What's up?
Your mom's away at the spa this weekend, isn't she? Mal asked, elbowing Jay, who snickered. Carlos nodded. The spa, really just a bit of warmish steam escaping from the crags of rocks in the ruined basement of what had once been a proper building, was Cruella's one bit of comfort, her one reminder of her luxurious past. How far the DeVilles had fallen. just like the rest of the aisle.
Yes?
He said uncertainly, unsure if that was the correct answer, even though it was the truthful one. Right answer, Mal said, and patted him on the head. I can't exactly give a party at my place without my mother yelling at everyone. Not to mention the whole flying crockery issue. Carlos sighed. Like the rest of the aisle, he knew parties brought out Maleficent's worst behavior. There was nothing she hated more than people openly having fun. And we can't have it at Jay's because his dad will just try to hypnotize everyone into being his servants again, Mal continued. Totally, agreed Jay. Carlos nodded again, although he wasn't sure where this was leading. Great, perfect, party at your house, tonight. Party? At his house? Did he hear that right?
Wait, what? Tonight?
He blenched.
I can't have a party. I mean, you should understand, my mom doesn't really like it when people come over, and I've got a lot of work to do. I have to fluff her furs, iron her undergarments. I mean...
He gulped, embarrassed. Mal ignored him. Spread the news. Hell Hall's having a hell raiser. She seemed to warm to the thought. Get the word out. Activate the twilight bark, or whatever it is you puppies do.
Bow wow,
barked Jay, with a laugh. Carlos glared at the two of them, in spite of himself. There's a party? Evie asked shyly. Carlos had forgotten she was standing next to him, and he jumped at the sound of her voice. Eavesdrop much? Mal said, snarling at her. Although it was obvious, Evie couldn't help it, as she was standing right next to them. Before Evie could protest, Mal sighed. Of course there is. The party of the year. A real rager, didn't you hear? Mal looked her up and down, and shook her head sadly. Oh, I guess you didn't hear. She mock winced, looking at Carlos conspiratorially. Everyone's going to be there.
They are?
Carlos looked confused.
But you only just told me to have it.
He quickly got the message.
Everyone,
he agreed. Evie smiled. Sounds awesome. I haven't been to a party in a long, long time. Mal raised an eyebrow. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a very exclusive party, and I'm afraid you didn't get an invitation. With those parting words, Mal went ahead of them into the classroom. She was in their next class too, of course. Her EQ was legendary, and left them to each other.
Sorry, Carlos mumbled. I guess I was wrong. Mal doesn't just talk a big game.
Yeah, me too. The party sounds like fun, Evie said.
You want to see what I'm making?
He asked, trying to change the subject as they settled into their seats. He took out of his bag a black box with wires and an antenna poking out from one side, the same contraption he'd been fiddling with earlier.
I made it from some old magician stuff.
Sure, Evie smiled. Hey, is that a power core? It looks like you're making a battery, right? Carlos nodded, impressed.
Yeah.
What does it do?
Can you keep a secret?
He asked, whispering. Evie nodded. I keep them from my mom all the time.
I'm trying to poke a hole in the dome.
Really? Can you do that? I thought it was invincible.
Well, I thought I could maybe try to get a signal with this antenna here. It's actually an old wand. And I think if I hit the right frequency, we might be able to bring some of the outside world into the dome. And we can watch something other than that hairy old beast king telling us to be good. Or that channel that only sells shackles.
I sort of like the Oridon channel, Evie said dreamily, especially when they feature the Prince of the Week. They're so dreamy. Carlos snorted. She looked from the boy to the battery. Frequency? But how?
I'm not sure, but I think if I can break through the dome, we'd be able to pick up Aurora's radio waves. You know, internet and Wi-Fi signals. I'm not exactly sure what the frequency is, but I think that's how they get all those channels and stuff.
Evie sighed again. What I'd give to go to Oridon. I've heard that everything is so beautiful there.
I guess. If you're into that kind of thing,
Carlos said. He didn't care about princes, or enchanted lakes, or chirping birds, or cheerful dwarfs. What he did care about was discovering more of the online world, a safe virtual refuge, where he'd heard you could even find people with whom you could play video games. That sounded like fun, as he never had anyone to play with. There had to be something more to life than bowing down to the cool kids, organizing his mother's fur coats, and hiding from her tantrums. There had to be. Although right now, it wasn't just his mother he had to answer to. If Mal was serious, which it looked like she was, in the next few hours, he'd somehow had to work out how to throw the party of the year. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. Please come back next time for more. Share with a friend who you think would like these as well. And if you enjoyed this reading and would like to help me to continue to do more, please check out my Patreon page and my social media links down below. Remember, let it go and keep moving forward. Have a magical day. See you next time. Bye.